What's going on, Sabres fans? Welcome to another episode of the Sabres Spotlight podcast with your host, Matt and Ryan. Ryan, what's going on?
What up, bud?
We got a lot to talk about tonight. We got a lot on the show docket tonight. It has not been a very good 48 hours for Buffalo sports between the Bills and the Sabres. We'll start with the Sabres here, but before we get into that, we'll start with our usual intros. What's new with Ryan, man? What's been going on this last week or so?
Tell me what you think is new about me.
I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna guess not a whole lot.
No, absolutely nothing, dude. Nothing is new.
So it's funny. I don't really have much to say in this section either. The only really thing, other than what's been going, well, I guess the only new thing is that Katie and I actually didn't tell you this yet, but my wife and I we booked a trip to Universal in June
Oh shit,
next
that's
year.
sick.
So I'm pretty excited about that. So it'll be just the two of us. So the kids are staying home. So that'll be nice. So yeah, we're going sometime in
Wow.
June, and
Just the two of
yeah,
you?
yeah. Yeah, just the
Holy
two of
shit.
us. So we're going for
Well,
like
that's
just four
cool.
nights. So the kids will stay at my in-laws a couple nights. They'll stay at my parents a couple nights, and then I mean, I'm assuming Belle will probably go see you guys. So hey, if you're available,
Yeah. Well, I guess we're babysitting Belle. Fuck. When? When is this?
so this is like June.
Oh, Jesus
I
Christ.
think
So
it's
we got
like
time.
June. I forget the dates exactly. Katie said all, but it's like mid-June. So
Oh shit. Well, damn, that's cool as hell.
yeah, but
What?
we were just like
What's
we haven't done something in
what?
a while, like just the two of us. So we were like, all right, let's go and get out a little bit and whatnot. And Kate, that's around Katie's birthday too, so it'll be a nice little like birthday getaway for the two of us.
What is like new in Universal since like the last time you've been?
I don't think much at like that park that we go to, but they like built like a whole new park in I think it's in California. I'd have to double check exactly where the new park is, but like there's like a whole new park that was built, and I think I don't know. I think Eric will know. Eric's a big Universal, nut. But I want to say they're
Right.
actually building a new park down there too, like where we are heading. But yeah, I don't think there's much new there. I mean, the newest I want to say like the newest ride there is the Jurassic World ride. Like it's called the Velocicoaster, and that thing is fucking
Yeah,
insane, dude. Like it it
that's
it
sick.
gets pretty. There's this one part like you feel like you're gonna like fly up out of your seat because you're just like going like you're just like this, and then it just like you're going so fast, and it like so you're on like a straightaway, and then it's
Yeah.
got like the bumpers going underneath, so it like pushes you even quicker, and then you like so you pick up speed even as you're going, and then you go up real quick and then down. So when you hit that up, you literally feel like you're gonna like fall out of your
Oh,
seat. And
dude, that's not for me. I can tell you
that
that is
honestly,
not
that
for
shit
me.
scares me. Like I like roller
Yeah,
coasters, but I also have this irrational fear that like I'm gonna die on one also. So like that type of shit really kind of makes me nervous.
dude, me too. Like I don't like rides like at all, and I used to just like love the roller coasters, like the ones at Darien Lake. Like finally once I was tall enough to ride the Superman, then it was like my shit, you know. And like
Yeah,
now
yeah,
you won't catch me on a fucking ride. Like I have friends that'll go to what the fuck is that park in Ohio with all the roller coasters
yeah.
with
Oh,
the
I used to
fucking
go there all the freaking time.
with the dragster, all this bullshit. What
Yeah,
is it
the
called?
top
Oh my
speed
God.
dragster.
Someone is gonna tell me I'm an absolute idiot for not thinking of the name. And you have friends that go there like every year, and
Oh
I
man,
cannot do that. I hate it.
yeah, yeah. I don't know why I can't think of it right now either, but yeah, I used to. I mean, growing up, I didn't go on roller coasters until like I don't know, maybe like high school. I was just always like scared of them, but I was like a super like nervous and shy kid also. So, but like when I was
Yeah,
really
you're
really
pretty much
young.
you're still a pussy, so it's okay.
But now I love them. But honestly, like Universal, like they have a couple coasters, but a lot of the rides are like the 3D stuff. Like where you're
Yeah,
like you got the well, you don't necessarily need glasses, but it's a cool park. So I'm excited. We like the Harry Potter world, obviously. Shout out to my Honeydukes. I got my mug right here. I'm a little under the weather today, anyway, so I got my hot tea with my honey in my Honeydukes mug. I mean, that's just a match made in heaven there. So
dude. You know what? Want to hear something funny? So before we get into the absolute shitbag hockey team that we have to talk about today, I have one of my friends that listens to us talk every single week that likes that podcast so far. Shout out Jesse, you're the man. Um, he'll text me
he must
and
be a
be like,
degenerate.
he'll text me and be like, dude, your friend is fucked up. Like, your friend is a psycho. And I'm like, yeah, that's my best friend, dude. He is fucking fucked up. It's okay. So we
About
gotta
what?
talk
Like
about
about what? Like he does he have a
he,
specific example? Or is he
Yeah,
talking about my trick or treat list? Because it's
your trick or treat list was absolutely awful.
I caught a lot of
What
flack
else
for
did
my
he
trick or
say?
treat list.
S- Something about your playing on playgrounds or some shit. I don't remember what you said the one day.
Oh
But
yeah, I remember that. I remember that. Yeah.
he's just like, dude, your boy is just like fucked up.
That was funny. That was just like a total brain lapse. And then afterwards, I'm like, well, first off, like I don't even know how to edit shit. This is just all a one shot thing, anyways. But I'm like, I'm just gonna own that. It was just a big. I know exactly what he's talking about because after I think it was like episode 2 or something. It was when we were talking about Benson. And I was when we were talking about Benson, and you
Oh,
were saying like, oh, I don't know what I was doing at 17. I'm like, me either. I'm like, I was fucking like playing with myself or something like talking
like
about.
that was
It
it.
was
That
so
was it.
it was so cringe, but I was like, well, I just gotta own up to it now, whatever. But
Oh,
yeah,
oh, and dude, shout out to not knowing the person that baptized your son. Shout out not knowing his name. That
yeah,
was
Pastor
fucking
Scott though,
hilarious.
I got
It's
that intel.
Scott. Would
So
you call
yeah,
him Joe or some shit? That was awesome.
no, I don't think I had a name. I think I left him nameless because I didn't want to say the wrong name.
Well, that's unbelievably funny.
But
But
he is an awesome guy, and shout out again to St. John's Lutheran because they are just a really awesome
yeah,
church. So
they really put the water on your kid's head.
yeah, they did. But shout out to
But
Pastor Scott, and he's a really cool dude. But all right, we got anything else to talk about here in the intros? Any other shout outs or anything?
I got nothing.
Dude, I got to shout out. I got to shout out my buddy Mike at work that I work with. He's been watching The Boys from you from a couple
Oh,
episodes
fuck
ago,
yes. I love to hear
and
it because
uh,
it's
and
so
and he's
good,
been
man.
loving it. So
Has he been like telling you about any of it? Because I'm figured that you're not gonna watch it. I mean, with Katie around, I'm pretty sure she would be like, "Get this shit off my screen."
no, I didn't. I didn't talk to him much about it, but he just kind of said what you said that it's kind of like gruesome and like gory and whatnot.
Well, yeah,
Um,
literally the first scene, well, maybe one of the first scenes. The main character's girlfriend is standing in the middle of the street, and the superhero that has like can run crazy fast, like super speed, like runs through her and explodes her. So that like
yeah,
kind of just gives you a whole synopsis for like how the show is, and it's
yeah.
so good.
I don't know if I'd like that honestly.
Yeah, it gets pretty fucked up. There's like exploding dickheads and shit. It's crazy.
That's why I wasn't honestly sure if I was gonna like that Twisted Metal show as much as I did because it's got that's kind of like got some intense stuff in there. But that show was
Dude,
great, anyways.
I feel like you're about to buy a PS2 and play Twisted Metal on a PS2. That's how
But
into it you are.
all right, well, let's move on from the shout outs. But yeah, shout out Mike. Mike's a great dude, and I know he listens to the show as well, and he's a big Sabres fan as well. So all right, let's transition now into
Excuse
some
me.
of the game reviews, and then we'll have some further discussion about the Sabres. But
Oh,
Sabres
oh, we
Sabres have
got a
played.
lot to talk about.
Yeah, there is a lot to talk about. So the Sabres have played 3 games since we talked last. It started off good. We got a win. Hockey Fights Cancer Night against the Minnesota Wild. That was a 3-2 win. So this was at the time everybody was excited because Savoy was making his NHL debut. He was on line 3 with Krebs and Rusek, and he played a whole whopping 4 minutes, and that was it. So the Minnesota game, I don't know. What do you think, Ryan? It was interesting because another game where I felt like we didn't necessarily play that great, but a win is a win, and Levi kind of bailed us out in this one. But what were your thoughts?
This was the start of our horrible like week of games since we've like recorded. But man, I felt like we did not play well, like at all. I mean,
And Minnesota's
Minnesota,
pretty mid.
yeah, they're fighting it. Like they're terrible this year. I'm pretty sure like Kirill Kaprizov hasn't really done a whole lot for Minnesota this year, which is disappointing for them. And I feel like every time he was on the ice, he was super dangerous. I don't know what's going on, man. I mean, this game, their power play, or their penalty kill, I think going into it was running at like a 63 or 64% like
Minnesota,
rate.
as you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And I'm like, oh well, this is good. We're gonna get some chances on the power play to like maybe like put in like 2 or 3, like And we went over 4. Like
yeah,
it's you're not gonna win with the power play playing like this. I mean, I don't know what to even say. And I mean, we're gonna talk about the Tage injury, but without without him even like he wasn't even really doing anything anyway because we couldn't set it up to him. So I was thinking
yeah,
maybe since we went over 0 for 4 against one of the league's worst power plays and then consecutive games after that, just really not doing much at all, maybe we will be able to do something different and not just kind of where's Tage the whole power play, you know?
Yeah, they're kind of just like beating their heads against a wall with the power play right now. It's just very, very monotonous and just repetitive. I know we'll get into that a little bit more, but the I guess the only positive from this game and throughout the whole season, the one consistent player has been JJ Paterka. He's been on
He's
fire.
awesome, man.
Even the couple games that we're going to talk about coming up against Pittsburgh, that we lost the 4-0 shutout, and then the loss last night against Boston. I felt like he looked strong in all those games, and he looks really fast. I think some of his line mates aren't necessarily helping him out at times, but he's still been making an impact. So I think he looked good in this game, and obviously Levi. I want to say so he was 33 for 35. He had a 943 save percentage in this game. Made a lot of big saves because Minnesota had a lot of good chances in like the slot and things. So
Yeah,
definitely generated scoring chances, and he snuck us out a win in this game. I'm correct me if I'm wrong if you saw the stat, but I want to say he was like a 2.9 or something like goals saved above expected
yeah,
after this
something like
game.
that.
Like yeah, like he had a really good game. The game that we know he's capable of despite some of his inconsistencies so far. But
It was nice to go through a game. I mean, obviously not nice because you obviously want the team to play better, but to have your goalie steal one for you, like that's pretty good. And this is where the inconsistency with Levi is so frustrating because one night he's a stud, he's tracking the puck well, and then the next start he he's all over the place. He's sliding to fucking Neptune on a 3-on-1. He's giving up rebounds easily. I mean, it's this is what you get when you have a 21-year-old goalie fresh out of college.
yep, yep. So he sits down for the next game, which was a ugly, ugly, ugly 4-0 loss to
My
Pittsburgh.
God.
Who I think at this point, I think they won again last night or the other day. So
Yeah,
I think
dude,
they've won
Pittsburgh
like
is on fire.
yeah, they've won like five in a row after they started like 3-5 or 3-6.
Yeah, I have
But
some when you run for run through this real quick, and then I have
yeah,
something to say about Pittsburgh.
yeah, I was just gonna say power play again in this game was 0 for 2. I mean, this was one of those games where I mean we were 36% on faceoffs, which Pittsburgh. I mean,
Oh
they got
my
a lot
God,
of
I
veterans.
forgot. I forgot we got killed on the draw in this game. I there was a time where it was like 19-1. Not You're
Yeah,
triggering a memory.
it was bad. It was bad. I mean, at the end of the day, we honestly just didn't like create a lot of high danger chances, and this was just one of those games that you watch. I mean, we've seen this last year. We've seen this a few times this year where we have these games, and the game to Boston was even more of a mess than this game. But this is one of these games where like they just couldn't get anything going, and you're just watching this game like, all right, they got to wake up at some point, and it just never happened. Just never came. There was no spark.
Not a single guy, dude. Like I even went to go try and put something in the doc to talk about like a player that might have been good, but like not a single guy
Mm-mm.
played good. Like that's crazy to me that we can have games like this and they're all too often.
Yeah, I mean UPL was in net, and I thought there was a couple of goals that were just kind of like unlucky, goals, whatever. But other than that,
Yeah.
and I think he honestly played fine, but we just didn't. It was a game where we weren't going to generate enough offense. We weren't going to make it interesting for it to
He
feel like
gave
we
up
ever had a chance.
one. I think it was maybe the third goal, a rush on the right side, and he kind of just he should have made the save, but it's could have made it like could have kept it at 2-1. I'm not sure what the score was at the
Yeah,
time, but that's just UPL in a nutshell right there, man. Plays decent, makes some saves, and lets in something that should never go in on an NHL goaltender.
it's so tough too because like, I mean, we've talked about I think on air and definitely off air about how like goalies just the whole position this year has been just such like in such parity that like these guys they're not gonna stop every single shot like you are playing NHL caliber talent night in and night out. And so, like, there are going to be goals that he lets in that you're going to wish you want back, but that's just because these guys can't be perfect. But I do think so far this year, he and Comrie have looked like honestly a little bit better than Levi, and UPL's played much more. This is the most consistent I think I've seen him play.
I agree. He had that one stint in January last year where he was lights out and then dog water the rest of the season. But man, if he plays like this, where I can handle the inconsistency, it's frustrating, definitely frustrating, but this is the best UPL we've seen since he's been here. Honestly, this is the best UPL since he was the OHL MVP.
Yeah,
So, because he has not been a very good pro goalie. I mean, he was
no,
horrible in Rochester to the point where Rochester fans were clamoring for Aaron Dell, and this is if he plays like this, I think he can be an NHL goalie, maybe a long-term backup or 1B.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
I before the season, I was ready to just waive him and not care if we got him or if we kept him or not. So
You know
that's
he would have got scooped up and won a Vezina if we
probably,
did that.
dude. Goalies get scooped up like they're nothing. I mean, I know Jack Campbell just went down, and dude, speaking of goalies not making any sense, Jack Campbell has given up 4 goals in 2 AHL games. In like one was like 4 goals on 11 shots, and then it was 4 goals on like 20. He's been
Yeah, he
horrible.
looks cooked. I saw the one replay of him just letting like that dribbler in. It was just like,
Oh,
what is that?
goalies, man, goalies makes no sense. There is no such thing as goalie scouting, in my opinion.
As much as I hate having three goalies, it's kind. I feel
Dude,
like it's this
it's
interesting dynamic of where like I feel like UPL feels a little comfortable now with his place on the team because he's played good. He obviously has to keep that going, but I think Comrie's kind of like the old man, like the old vet, but he's just
he's
also
like
like kind of
27, bro. He's not even
yeah,
old.
but that's what I mean. Like, but he's
I
also
know,
this like
I know,
youthful. He's like this youthful, like jubilant guy that's like kind of
dude.
like horny and whatnot, and like, he's like the
Comrie is
dad.
he's such a nerd, man. He's
So he's like
Comrie
the
is the
dad. He's the dad, and then UPL and I feel like UPL and Levi, like I don't know, you see them talking to each other, so you know they get along, and I think Levi's gotten somewhat humbled to begin the season, where like he's got to be, I'm sure, learning some things from these guys and just getting used to it. But I don't know, it just seems like kind of a cool dynamic that they have. And it's, again, as much as I hate having three goalies, like it is what it is, and it seems like they're embracing the competition, and it's bringing out the best in all of them, honestly. And Levi's learning to be an NHL goalie, so we'll see what happens. But
Yeah. Let me touch on Pittsburgh real quick. So, I don't know if you listened to the latest episode of the PDO cast. Well, maybe not the latest episode, but one of the recent episodes of Dmitry Filipovich's PDO cast.
on the Penguins,
Um, it was a whole episode on Pittsburgh.
yeah, I started it. I'm only like 10 minutes in, but
Dude, so it was super interesting to me, and we can like bring this into like a more like a wide discussion about the Sabres as a whole
I think I
because
know what you're gonna say actually. But yeah, go ahead.
the Penguins were so bad at the beginning of the year, right? And their neutral zone was just so easily attained, and they were just awful, like all the way around. Well, what do? On the road trip last week, Mike Sullivan changes their style just a little bit. I believe Dimitri said that Mike Sullivan changed their forecheck from an aggressive like 1-2-2 to like more or to more of like a 15 feet back, just let them come to you like kind of style, and they're kind of counterattacking more, and it's working for them. I mean, they've won 5 in a row. I honestly kind of think that the Sabres were caught off guard by this because you're obviously pre-scouting a team before you play them, right?
Yeah,
And if they're pre-scouting the Penguins, then they're basing them off playing their system that they were playing the majority of the year. And if they're playing a new system and they're perfecting it like they did against us, that's kind of hard to beat. But man, props to Mike Sullivan. He's one of the best coaches in the league, and all they had to do was notice that their forecheck wasn't going great, and they weren't really contesting pucks. And before you know it, they've ripped off 5 in a row, and they're contesting pucks all over the ice. So
yeah. Yeah, I heard him
go ahead.
say like in that same interview, he was saying something about how like Sullivan after the game like went in afterwards and was like applauding the guys and was like, we kept them in front of us that whole third period, which is
Yep.
exactly what we want us to do. So like they're obviously learning a new style, and you got these veterans that can probably do that more efficiently than some of the younger kids the Sabres have. But I also don't know how good Don is or we are with our assistant coaches and things at making these in-game adjustments. That's probably an area that we need to improve on, and maybe that's the personnel and just these kids needing to learn and be put in these situations a little bit more. But that's a
That's
veteran team,
exactly
and
where I wanted to lead this discussion. Like that's exactly where I wanted to go.
yeah, so it does seem they definitely like. I mean, we got nothing going all night, but that's a good example of how like they're that's that strategic area of hockey and how it's like it's not just like, oh, we play this style, you play this style. Like there are matchup dependent things that you have to focus on, and Pittsburgh definitely won the battle on that night. And then I mean Boston, they just completely
Oh,
decimated us.
fuck.
So this was Tuesday night, so just yesterday night. So we're still reeling from this 5-2 loss a little bit. I guess it was extremely. We've talked on this podcast before, and I've kind of said specifically about how like they need to play better at home, and they just get out to these slow starts at home. And this again was just extremely frustrating. I think almost as frustrating as like the home opener, where like you had all these things at the home opener to pump you up, and the season opener and the home opener, and now you got Oki's 1,000th game. You had all this stuff going on before, like you want to like get up for your captain, and like they go down 2-0 early, like within the first three
Immediately,
minutes.
bro.
Immediately,
Immediately.
they're down within the first 3 minutes, and like they do this shit all the time at home, and it just takes the crowd right out of it immediately.
Yeah, I mean, like we just talked about how Levi was an absolute monster against Minnesota. He was equally as bad against Boston.
He got pulled.
I He got pulled. Fucking Don, bro. He should have pulled him sooner. Like, I don't understand leaving him in after the fourth goal. But besides that, I mean, immediately he doesn't track a puck well, and the puck is rebounded off of his stomach and falls to
Yeah,
Danton Heinen, who just pokes it in because Owen Power is trying to tie him up with his purse. Like,
yeah,
we're
he's had some
like
issues with rebound control. Levi,
he
I'm saying,
has. He
yeah,
has. Yeah, he has. It's it's crazy like watching the difference between Boston defending from like the dots in and watching us defend from the dots in and how detailed they are and how supportive they are. And then it's for us, it's like five guys just trying to break the puck out at one, like differently. Like they're not working as a cohesive unit. It's so tough to watch, man.
yeah. It
Especially
that
against
this
Boston.
Oh, this game was so brutal, and another game like there where they just couldn't do anything. They had absolutely no. I'm trying to find my. So I wanted to share this with you because I didn't share this with you, but my wife Katie and my mother in law were at this game. Unfortunately, they bought tickets like the day before because they wanted to go and see a Posto's game and all that stuff. But Katie sent me a message about the game, and I don't know where it is. I got to find it, but I'll
Hockey
check.
scout
So
Katie.
Oh,
Nice.
she was scouting. Yeah, she was scouting
I
at the
love it.
game. But okay, so this is hilarious. So she sends me this like what time is this? This was like 7:37. So this was like right as the
Fucking
game started.
immediately.
Right as the game started, she goes she goes, "I can read this old guy's text in front of me. Before the game started, someone wrote to him saying, quote, I hope this game is better than last night's clusterfuck."
What an omen. Oh, dude. Speaking of omens, this game was fucked as soon as the anthem guy fucked up O Canada.
Oh, dude, that was brutal. Yeah, I texted you right away. I'm like, did this guy just fuck up O Canada? And then now
And
it's all over
I didn't
Twitter.
notice. I didn't notice until you sent me the chiclets, like they posted the video, and I'm like, oh my God. And then I see when you see the video, you see the coaches on the bench. They're like, what the hell? What the
It
hell
was
was
kind of
that?
impressive how he just kind of went with it. He just like he kind of seamlessly just kind of said whatever he said and kept going with whatever he finished it fine, and then he did
Dude.
the Star Spangled Banner fine, but that was ridiculous.
Uh, I mean, besides that, like, beautiful ceremony for Oposo. Congratulations to him on his 1,000th game. That's an incredible accomplishment. There's
Yeah,
less than 100 players that have ever played in the NHL to hit 1,000 games.
yeah.
So good on him. I mean,
And I was
as soon
surprised to find out that he's been Terry Pagula. They showed him. He did his little testimonial because they did the player tributes and whatnot, which I thought were actually cool as fuck. But the testimonial from Pagula Terry, he was saying that he's been not only has he played that many games, but he's been either a captain or an alternate captain for like 14 years, like with
yeah,
his respective teams.
yeah,
Like he's been a leader his
he
whole
was an
career.
alternate on the Islanders. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's been like a leader his whole career, and that's continued here. But yeah, I thought the ceremony was great. The tribute videos were really awesome, just for all the different guys, saying all these nice things about him. Eric Johnson had a really nice tribute video for him because he obviously they've been friends for a long time, so that was kind of a cool thing to see. But I thought the tribute was nice. It's just a shame that they didn't really come out and play too hard for him. But I gotta share you this with you real quick. This was
Okay.
Katie's. This was my wife's analysis on the game.
I love when we share shit on this podcast that we have no idea what's coming.
So she says. So first she texts me and says Levi should be pulled. He blows.
Let's go, Katie.
Then she goes, and it'll be interesting to see how people react to this. She says, also Greenway and Tage are too big. They fumble over themselves.
Dude.
she
Well,
goes,
that was a thing like for a while that Tage was not like growing into his body correctly.
Yep. She goes, Paterka is pretty good. I like him. So like that's some pretty good scouting right there.
Katie, do you want a job with the Buffalo Sabres? You're a pretty good scout.
So this you know how much of a savage Katie is. So she goes at Kyle Poso on his night. She goes, Oposo is pretty good. I like him. Or no, she goes, Oposo doesn't do shit. I literally watched him skate in circles, not touching a single puck or person his entire shift.
Oh my God. Well, dude, she's fucking right. Like,
But
th-
wait, it gets better. This is the best one of all. This is the best one of all. Tuck doesn't do much. I was like, babe, Tuck didn't even play tonight.
yeah, he was stuffing his face with popcorn in the press box.
Well, that's the thing. She's like, oh, she's like, I must have just seen him on the jumbotron a lot and thought he was playing. But I was like, well, I'm
Oh
like,
my God.
you put this in your analysis, and I'm 100% sharing this on the show. You're not getting out of that.
Oh my God. Well, she was doing pretty well there for like four of the points in the fifth
Yeah,
one, so that's okay.
she
We all
lost.
miss sometimes.
She lost a
That's
little
fucking funny.
credibility on that one, but
Oh my God, dude. But this, dude. I mean, what she said was true. Nobody did a goddamn thing. Like,
Olafson
I
had 2 goals.
fuck him, dude. Fuck him. Fuck him. This was the perfect game for Victor Olofsson to do his bullshit, not do anything for any of the games he's played in, and then fucking pot two in a 5-0 game. Dude, fuck that guy. Fuck him. I hope we waive him soon. Just bury his 4 million in the goddamn minors already and just be over with it. Fuck him. I hate him.
His interview after the game was funny too because they were asking him about it, like, oh, is it good to find the back of the net and stuff? He goes, oh yeah, I just felt like I was more aggressive tonight and looking for my shot a little bit more. I was like, oh my god.
Dude, he's clearly just playing for like to be on another team. Like he's a guy that has no loyalty to this team anymore. I mean, we've shown no loyalty to him, so I understand it. But I mean, it's kind of his fault because he sucks at hockey.
Yeah, but
But
nobody wants him. I do you think other teams got to sit back and just say, like, listen, like at some point the Sabres are going to have to call all these kids they have, and they're going to have to just waive Olofsson at some point.
I
You know,
mean,
like,
I wouldn't doubt he does get moved eventually. We'll retain 50% of his contract, so it'll be like a 2 million cap hit. Like someone will take that, I think. But they've been trying to trade this guy for like a year, and no
yeah,
one is biting.
yeah.
So I don't know. Between him, dude, there's so many passengers on this team. It's a joke. I mean,
Yeah, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. The worst thing about this night is the Tage news. So Tage gets hurt and he's going to miss significant time, according to Don Granado. Like, I guess the exact timelines aren't necessarily known right now, but
I
there's
think he
some
said
speculation of like 6 to 8
about a
weeks.
month. Yeah, about a
Yeah,
month. He said today this morning.
yeah. So we don't know what it
A
is.
month to
If
6 weeks.
we think it was he got hit with a puck right on the hand or something.
Yeah, dude, Tage took a beating in this game. Like poor kid, Jesus Christ. So he gets clipped with a knee, which I thought was a little bullshit from Charlie McAvoy, and then on the that same
Yeah,
fall, McAvoy his skate like inadvertently cut Tage's leg, and you see him standing there, and you immediately think like, oh no, he just blew out his knee.
yeah,
We like
because he was like
no
hobbled
idea.
over.
We had no idea what happened, and
Yeah,
then kind of with like slow mo replay and like people like catching that McAvoy skate, which is so fucking dangerous that these skates can just like cause damage like that. Where like it must have cut him pretty fucking deep to the point where he couldn't put weight on his leg, you know?
yeah. Yeah,
And
he
then
was
he,
like, I think I wanted to say Skinner gave him like the tush push over to the bench, right?
yeah, they did,
Yeah,
yeah. And then so we had radio silence for like a while. I mean, it was like you kind of knew like not everything was gonna be like maybe okay, like maybe he would not come back for the game because the Sabres didn't rule him out like immediately. And usually when
yeah.
things are bad, like they'll rule a guy out just like immediately. So they stitched him up and he comes back in. And I don't know, how do you feel about Tage penalty killing up when they're down 4-0 in a game that means like
Well,
that's almost over? How do you feel about that?
yeah. So it's interesting you say that. I had a conversation with my buddy Chris at work. Shout out Chris, and he brought up a good point. He was just saying how like, and I guess I thought about this to some degree, but like the penalty kill's been so good, but like this is an instance where like, do you want Tage of all guys standing on the penalty kill and like trying to block these shots? Because like something like this is going to happen. Like, and I don't know. I get that's hockey and like all these things, but like this is some of the consequences. Like these pucks come up and get hit, and like I think to your point, like maybe it just has to be better decision making by Don, just saying like, listen, like it's 4-0. Like if it's a close game, put him out there because I mean he does great
Right,
on the
he's
penalty
a
kill.
beast on the penalty kill.
Yeah, and he's had a shorthanded goal. Like there's a threat there of getting through the neutral zone and actually getting an attempt on goal and things like that too. So I'm not opposed to it at all because the penalty kill is elite right now, but it's got to be situational. Like Don's got to understand the situation.
The PK, man, it's kind of showing some regression a little bit, and
Yeah, I think
especially
Boston had two
with
goals, and I think Pittsburgh had two as well. So
without Tage now, I mean, that's one skyscraper that we're not going to be able to put out there. And I like him on the kill, like in general as like a strategy. I like him on the penalty kill, but not when it's 4-0 and like there's no shot that you're going to come back in this game. Like sometimes Granado like doesn't have his head screwed on. I feel like in game he's tactically outclassed and like decisions outclassed with decisions every single game.
yeah, yeah.
It's
I
like
I mean I can see that. I don't know.
the guy can't even pull the fucking goalie correctly most of the time, you know?
No, no. And that's not a problem around the league. Like you watch a lot of hockey, and like that's not something you see commonly. Like when you need to pull the goalie, get him the hell out of there.
Well, so let's move into like the wider discussion here. Do you think that Don deserves heat for like these roster decisions that he's making or like the line combos or any of the in-game stuff that he's been doing?
Yeah, I don't know. Like so, I don't think he should be on the hot seat. But I was telling you this earlier. Like if you watch the post game presser from the Boston game, like this is somewhat a shot at like just like the Sabres like media too, but like the questions. I almost was gonna go down and like write down all the questions that were asked
I
because they were so
I
fucking ridiculous.
I didn't watch. What kind of questions were they asking him?
It
Like what
was
were his
just like
answers?
it was just bullshit stuff. Like it was like it wasn't the hard questions. Like my big thing with this is I've watched so many Don pressers, and like last year was like, oh, it was all good because like we were overperforming and like things were good. We didn't have too many injuries last year, so like it was like all peaches and cream last year because we were exceeding expectations. But like the difference this year is like there is playoff expectations, and like they just got embarrassed 4-0 in Pittsburgh. They come back and lay that absolute dud against the Bruins, and the questions are like they're just non-serious questions. And I'm just like, where are the questions about like player inconsistencies or team inconsistencies or playoff urgency? Like I know it's only 20 games in or whatever, 16 games in, but like usually where people are by Thanksgiving is where you kind of end up at the end of the year. So like something's got to give here, and we're seeing trends in play, and there's no prodding, there's no poking about this or this. Like everyone flipped a lid last year when that at the end of the year when that one guy asked that question about like missing the playoffs and was like, was this a lost season and stuff? But like I respect that type of shit, and I'm not saying like the media has to like go crazy on Don, but like he has it so easy in these pressers, and there has to be more expectations. There has to be more accountability for him and for the players to start putting a better product out on the ice. And it was such a lame post game. I'm like, this is the question he gets after they just get pumped 5-2. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, dude, to echo your point, like I think the media loves Don because he is very insightful. Like he gives great answers all the time. Like he's a great listen whenever he's doing like his morning shit on Tuesdays on WGR or Wednesdays whenever he goes on. Like I try to listen to those all the time and he is a smart guy, but like I I don't know how I feel about him as like a hockey coach right now. Like great development guy. I mean, look at the young guys on our team. I mean, maybe not, they're not all playing that well all the time, but most of them every night are doing something to show that they've had growth. And he's a good developer. I just don't know about like the in-game tactics. You know, it's very frustrating. And to hear that the media is not really calling him out when it's like a 7-1 hockey team and there are supposed to be expectations this year. Like
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the organization feels internally, but there should be heat. There should be pressure. Like where is the pressure? Are we going to do this again where we're like, oh, we're a young team and we're just developing and, there's no expectations. That's how it feels. And it's super fucking frustrating.
Yeah, well, that can lead us into. Well, I mean, we'll tie Don in with this too, but I think that's a good segue into what we want to talk next about Kevin Adams too, and like, is this is a defining year for this regime because they've been here for a couple years already, and like this is year three. Like, you're not going to go to other teams, despite a rebuild or not, and just get 3 years to like not make the playoffs, and then like, hey, everything's okay, or like, oh, let's keep doing this. Like, you did, like, and just going back to Adams, like you made these prospects, you didn't make a big move. You signed Eric Johnson and Connor Clifton. Connor Clifton has been just kind of okay. Like he hasn't really hurt you too much other than when he scores on our goal all the time. And then like Eric Johnson, like he's been again okay, but like he's slow and you can see that his game is declining. But you didn't go on and make a big move. So between Don and what feels to me like somewhat of a lack of urgency, and then Kevin Adams just like consistently talking about like, oh, we got it. These guys need to take the next step. Well, like you're not fucking calling these guys up to make the next step. So like, are we just gonna be passive this whole year and just kind of ride this out, and then the same thing's gonna happen? And we're going to miss the playoffs again, like, or is there going to be some urgency this year, and we're going to start answering some hard questions? Like, I just don't know. I don't know what their plan is or where their head's at.
Well, like I've been saying to you, they're going nowhere and they're an unserious team until they start icing their best players. And especially with
100%.
Cage being hurt, this is the time to call up Yuri Kulik. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Rusek is not it at all. Like, he's
No,
supposed to
he
be
hasn't played
probably
good.
like he's supposed to be probably like a Gergensen's replacement. Hold on one second, my dog's being a fucking asshole. Hold on, give me like 2 seconds.
Well, I'll talk to myself here for a second, but like, and you can probably hear me anyways, but like the I don't know, like Rusak, he's just like I thought they called him up last year for a couple games, and I actually thought he looked good. He was like dangling with the puck and whatnot, but this year I haven't seen it this year, and I know he hasn't really like played up in the lineup. And I want to say he's been on a line with like Krebs a lot and maybe like Olofsson. So like I don't know if he's been surrounded by like the playmakers, but like he's been up here for a few games here now where I just you by now you would have liked to see some sort of impact no matter who you're with. So it's time to let him maybe go back down and see what you have in these guys like Rossini and Kulik who are absolutely torching the AHL and they've
So
played a lot of games there. Let's call them up.
you're still on Rusek?
Yeah, I was just talking about how
Okay.
like he hasn't really gotten like a chance up the roster, but he
Oh,
also
okay.
hasn't really showed like a ton to like necessarily maybe earn that. And maybe it is time to give Kulik and Rosine chances who have been playing good down in
Well,
Rochester.
dude, it's like more than that for me because bringing back a post, like, yes, great, we just congratulated Oposo on his 1,000th game. If he plays in game 1001 on Friday, I am going to be pissed. He is no longer a serviceable NHL player, and that's your captain.
Yeah,
That's the guy that's leading your team. Like, he cannot lead anymore. Like, I get he's a great locker room guy, but then that goes back to the whole point that I think we discussed this like together this week, but not on here. This team does not need to be babied anymore. Like they don't need a babysitter. So bringing back the whole team that was really the same, and then sticking with a guy like Oposo and Gergensen's too, who honestly he's kind of just doing his Gergensen's thing where he's going to get like 7 to 10 goals and be responsible defensively.
right.
It just doesn't. They don't feel like a serious team to me. And I swear to fucking God, if they send Ryan Johnson back to Rochester, this team is so done. Like
Yeah,
he looks fantastic. I think right now Ryan Johnson is one of your three best defensemen on this
yeah,
roster.
yeah. Ryan Johnson
And
looks great.
you got to play the best players. Like the fan base is starving for some type of winner.
Yeah,
Like just get in the playoffs. And it is a little early to be panicking, but I'm pissed because it just feels like they're not trying as hard as they can. And Adams should have went and got somebody. Should have made a trade. Make a hard decision.
yep, yep.
He's relying on prospects again, and it's like we
But you're not
the
playing them.
Penguins.
Like he's not even
Yeah,
playing
I
the
know, I
prospects that
know.
he
Like
has.
Benson's gonna play on Friday, and he did get
Yeah,
hurt.
Yeah.
But dude, why is an 18-year-old on your roster? Like I get it. He's awesome. I love Zach Benson. I love Matthew Savoy. He played fucking 4 minutes the other day.
Yeah.
I love like I they didn't they didn't do what was needed to show the fans or like show them that they're or even for the players, like you don't think they owe it to Tage or they owe it to Paterka or Cousins or Darlene or Power or something to be like, hey, we believe in you. Here's another piece, you
I
know?
mean, that was them. That was JJ and Jack last year. And like, look at
Yeah,
like you called them up and they played the whole year. And look at them now. Like they're legit
I get
NHLers.
that.
So, like,
I get that. But at some time you gotta bring in guys outside the organization that are
yeah,
not
no, I'm
fucking
I'm
Eric
totally
Johnson.
on board with you. Like
They're
we
Eric
gave
Johnson.
yeah, we definitely gave, Adams some heat in the offseason for not making that move, and you feel like you're wasting a year, but like that's the thing, that's my whole point. Like if you're not going to make that move, then you got to call these kids up and you have to see what you have. Not to mention you got a guy like Peyton Krebs who I'm sure he'd love the chance to play with on a line with maybe Kulik and Rosine, whoever. Like there's Rosine's defenseman, so like I
No,
think,
he's
or
not.
no, he's a forward. Okay, so like
Yeah,
like okay, so imagine that. Like I'm sure Krebs would love
I
that,
know.
and you're wondering like with Krebs, everyone's wondering like, does he have the offensive flair? Does he have the offensive pop? Well, he's playing with guys in Oposo and Gergensons, and I know sometimes he's played on that third line too, but he's playing with these inexperienced players or lower down in the bottom six, or these guys who just control the wall and are responsibly defensively. But like, you're not going to
Or
generate
have
chances with
fucking
that.
bricks for hands, dude. He's playing with guys with bricks for hands. Like
Yeah.
he's a passer. I think honestly, I would be surprised if Peyton Krebs ever scores more than 10 to 15 goals in this league. I honestly, if he gets to 15, it would be crazy.
Well,
But
that's fine. But how many assists does he have this year? Either like, I don't know if he has
because
any. He's got one or
and
two, maybe.
he's had a bunch of setups that like guys should have buried on.
Yeah,
So
but he's
you're
playing
right.
on a
That
line
that
that can't.
I know. And I mean I like Peyton Krebs and I want him to get an opportunity higher up the lineup. But again, they didn't bring in anybody outside the organization that can help him. Like Kyle Poso and Gergensons they cannot do what they were doing fucking 5 years ago with Johan Larsson being the best defensive line in hockey. Like it's not happening for them anymore.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. I
time
mean,
to just phase them out.
yeah, and at this point, like the culture is established. Like we don't need more culture guys. Like and they're not just gonna go away. Like if you sit a Poso here and there, like he's still on the team. He's not just going away. He's still gonna be around these guys. But like you're creating a roster spot for one of these young kids. You're getting them time. I honestly believe that Zach Benson's gonna come back and he's gonna play here the whole year. I think he's gonna be up here the whole year. I think they want him to be up here the whole year, and he can hopefully sit and stay healthy. Of course, I know there's risk for injury, but like look at how unpredictable injury is. Like Tage just got blasted with a puck and now he's out for like, and Tage is 6'6". Like it's, I understand mitigating risk, but like I honestly predictively think that Benson's going to be up for the year, and I hope that's the case. But also like this Savoy thing is weird where like you brought Savoy up and finally he gets healthy after he busted his ass. He played good in those few like training camp games. He looked really good. He unfortunately got hurt, but then he played good down in Rochester. He comes up for one game and he plays 4 minutes and then he goes back. Why is your ninth
I
overall pick not getting minutes on this
I
lineup?
honestly
And this
they were
lineup
getting
who's,
pumped
who's
that
been
game.
so inconsistent. How,
I
how,
know.
how can how can he not get at least 5 games?
I know. I've honestly that I really think that Adam the organization was that was a big fuck you to like the NHL as like we sent him to Rochester on kind of a loophole and then give him a game and then just send him back. Like I don't really have issue with Savoy going back, but maybe play him like another game to like give him an actual taste. I feel like they kind of did him dirty a little bit. But that Minnesota
How do
game,
you
I mean,
know? I don't
they
understand.
were.
I don't know. I don't know how you can't be mad at that. How do they even know what they have? Like I don't
I
know.
think they just like Zach Benson better, dude. I just think between the two of them, you can't keep both.
All right, maybe. I don't know. I mean, that's the thing is like we want these kids to play, and I know there's limited spots, but I don't know. I'd love to. I would have loved to see if Benson. So apparently, if Benson's going to be back this week, that's one thing. But like, I would have loved to see Savoy get a handful of games. It just to me seems very weird. It's a weird message to the fans. and and like they want to sell tickets, and they're not going to do it by just playing the same thing. Like they play shitty at home, and then they're playing this same lineups. Like you have to do something. You have to do something to reinvigorate the fan base. Obviously, winning is a big part of that, but uh, people want to see something different. They want to see better play, and they're not showing up like they anticipated them to. I know you want to talk about that a little bit more, but I don't know.
They need to call up Yuri Kulik. I mean, I get that the Amerks are completely decimated, but without Tage now, they need someone with offensive flair because they're getting nothing from the fourth line, and they're getting nothing from a lot of their players. Like Dylan Cousins is having a terrible start, and I know he got his eyes pumped shut, and he's playing with like a fishbowl on right now, and it's got to be weird to not be playing with like a normal visor. But he's not really giving you much.
No.
Olsen had scored his two goals, and he's not going to score again for another 20 games. They need someone to come up here and kind of just give them like a spark. Like
Yeah.
show Victor Olsen has already been scratched, so you're really not sending a message that it's unacceptable. Scratch someone else. Like put Kyle, put Oposo in the bleachers for a game.
Yeah.
Maybe like start resting him a little bit. Like the play has been unacceptable, and I don't really think that it's the meat of the team. Like I don't think it's like the Skinners or like the Greenways or like the core that are kind of killing us. It's more like the ancillary pieces that are just horrible, man.
Yeah.
They didn't bring in the depth that we needed, and maybe just play kids in their place and see what happens.
Well, here's the one last question for you. Do you think that the lines are being jumbled around too much? Like, do you think there needs to be more consistency with the lines themselves? I know it's tough with
Yeah,
injuries, but there's
it's weird.
every
Like
line's different.
he, I don't know what he's doing with the lines. Like we were talking about him just making weird decisions before. A couple weeks ago when we played the Devils, we lost that game what 5-4, and then he switched all the lines up the next day, and we were better than the Devils that game. Like,
Yep.
why? What's the point? Like,
Yeah.
especially with Tage gone now, like we're gonna need some guys to develop chemistry together, and I don't know, man. I don't know what he's doing. This isn't the year to like mix and match and like try to find out what works. You got to find something and stick to it.
And the teams at the top aren't doing that. Like Boston's not switching up their lineup. Sure, they have more depth and stuff, but like you have to nail down your lines, and you have to somewhat stick with them, and you got to and that's your job as a coach. You got to find the lines that work. You have to thread the needle. You have to find these things, and Don's got to do it, and it's got to come sooner than later because the Sabres are being done a favor by everybody in the Atlantic Conference because everybody is kind of in the same spot right now. But the start they've
Yeah, I mean,
had, if there were teams that were doing
we're
better,
talking like it's over.
I know, but they'd
We're
be
talking
further.
like it's
Yeah,
over, and we're 1 point out of the wild card.
right. But that's because that right now that's kind of because of the midness, I guess, of these teams. Like
Yeah,
there's
it's not
not.
us. It's not anything we're doing. It's the other teams, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you can go and look at the whole schedule we played so far, and you could probably count on one hand like how many actually good games we've played, like front to back, like,
Well, I
and
think
that's frustrating.
what did Anthony? I don't have it anymore. I deleted it. But I remembered off the top of my head. So Anthony today tweeted it from Expected Buffalo that the Sabres are currently 24th in expected goals for and uh, 30th in expected goals for in all situations. So 24th at 5-on-5 and 30th in all situations.
Yeah,
What happened to my team? What happened to my team that was generating offense? And like, dude, if they were like a middle of the pack expected goal team, like if they were generating at like a 16, like a 16th or 17th, their shooting talent will outperform that all day. Like they have
yeah.
shooting talent that will outperform their XG, but they're just not generating, man. It's so frustrating. Like what has happened to our team?
Well, let's see what happens. I totally agree with you in your comment where you're saying they need some sort of spark, and they need it now with Tage going down and with the play being somewhat inconsistent. So this will be a telling time. We'll see what Don does because you can't let things get too far out of control, and you got to try and reel things in a little bit here. We'll talk about it in a little bit, but you have somewhat of a softer, like little stretch coming up right now, even though you're going on the road for a few games. So this is the chance to try and get some wins. But before we go on to some of the other stuff here, do you want to talk about ticket prices real quick?
Oh my God, these tickets are pissing me off, bro. I mean, I don't know what the team prefers. If they prefer 12,000 people in the seats, but those 12,000 people pay an average of $60 per ticket, or if they prefer, obviously they don't prefer this, where like a ticket is $30 and the whole place is filled. Dude, no one is going to be paying. I was looking at it for the lower bowl for the last game against Boston. The lower bowl, the cheapest ticket was $120.
Yeah,
Who is paying this price to go see your team that has not made the playoffs in 13 years?
yeah.
Absolutely nobody. And and with inflation and the current economy, nobody wants to go to your hockey game. And then it looks like shit on TV on a random Tuesday when no one's there. I get that yesterday might have had a little bit more people there because of Oposo's 1000th game, but like a random Thursday game against fucking Arizona, I guarantee you there's going to be 11,000 people in the seats because the tickets are too expensive.
Oh yeah,
They
yeah. I mean,
need to lower the prices, bro.
yeah. It's like I told you, my wife and or Katie and my mother in law went to the game yesterday, and they paid $110 for each of their tickets,
It's
and
fucked up, dude. It's fucked.
that's what they want to see. So not only are you not
Yeah.
playing good at home, but the tickets are expensive, and like you pointed out, in today's economy, people's disposable income is way less than it was before. With everything going up, like your entertainment money is just not there, and you're not going to
Okay,
drop a hundred
dude.
dollars to go see it.
So let's say Riley and Owen are 5 and 4 years old and they're not babies, okay? To take them to the game and Katie plus parking, plus food, you're spending like $600, dude.
Yeah,
This is to go watch this team get pumped 5-2.
yeah,
Like it's unacceptable. It is completely pricing out the average family of four. It is not acceptable. It's disgusting, and nothing is going to change because the Pagulas are money hungry fucks, and I can't stand them. And I miss the days of paying $20 for a ticket. Like it was great.
yeah.
And
And that's when we were
now,
good. Like when we were good, those were the prices.
yeah, and I get that was like years ago, almost 20 years ago, but dude,
Sure.
the average person is priced out of this team, and the team
Yeah,
fucking sucks. The team
yeah.
fucking sucks. I would get it if they were like well, how many games we played? 15. If we were like 11, 4-1, if through 16 games played, I'm like, okay, well, obviously they're gonna pack the barn because the team is exciting. But dude, we fucking suck at home. So what? Who wants to go see this shit? Nobody.
Well, Well, here's the thing too. It's like on top of that, it's like because I see the arguments on Twitter too. Like like right away, the Boston fans chime in like, "Oh my!" I saw some comments on your post on Twitter like, "You guys are crazy! Like we pay $180 for like the third row." Like, all right, well, also like it's fucking Boston. But then I think to myself like the Sabres like they have to realize like because the other thing you'll hear is like, oh well, it's Buffalo, like it's like lower economy or whatnot. Like, do you know how much people are paying right now to go see the fucking Bills play? Like
Yeah.
tickets for the Bills. Like you can sell this out. Like you need to make it match the demand. Like you were bad for so long, so you miss generations of fans. On top of the fact that the tickets aren't adjusted for where you currently are. Like the NHL is out of major sports, it's NFL, right? I'd put the NBA behind it. And then I'd probably even I don't know, maybe this is questionable, but I'd probably put baseball above the NHL too, as far
Bro,
as like
bro, MLS is above the NHL.
right. So like if
NHL
you're
currently is the fifth most popular league in North America.
right, so if you're there, then okay, sure, like you can say Buffalo only has two teams, but like you have to do something to incentivize like the Sabres are not the Bills. They are not the Bills. So people are not going to drop $500. It's not going to happen. So like you need to bring that down somewhat. Now if you start playing like you should play or like we all think you have the potential to play, then like okay, it makes sense for prices to go up somewhat, but like you have to find a happy medium, especially with people's disposable income, like I said, being less post COVID. So
Yeah, I just had to talk about that for a minute because it's been really grinding my gears. Like, people can't afford it and the team sucks. I mean, it's so frustrating.
I mean, every week when I go to, I mean, I don't even shop at Wegmans anymore. Don't even get started on Wegmans. They're just like astronomical. But like, I go grocery shopping. I'm like, oh, should we buy this week? Because like this grocery bill is already like $200. Like, you
And you
throw,
have a great job, dude. You have a good, like, we have great jobs, and every
yeah,
week we're like, oh fuck, we have no money.
it's
Like, I
just
know
how it is.
you got the two little ones. I don't even know. I ask Lexi every day. I'm like, how the fuck do they do that with the two little ones? Like, it's hard for us. Like, we have good jobs, and it's like, goddamn, like it's so tough for us to even live, let alone be like, well, let's go to the fucking Sabres game and spend, total after everything like $200 between the two of us. Like it just doesn't happen. You have to like
Yeah.
it has to be like a special occasion, dude. It's
Right.
crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. We're not asking for like $10 tickets. It just they have to be market adjusted, a little bit more reasonable, and they'll start selling more. On top of that, just do your job and win more games and be more exciting, and that should happen. But
Yeah, my
all right,
favorite
why
night is
don't we?
my favorite night is dressed like a seat night on a fucking Thursday.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. All right. Well, let's transition here. We'll do. We got some pet peeves that we want to talk about. The rationale for this was, of course, Thanksgiving month. This is the month where everyone's like, all right, we're gonna talk about all the things we're thankful for, and we will do that. But before we do that, we want to talk about some things that really tick us off a little bit. So we're gonna get away from all the hockey talk for a second here. We'll come back to it in a minute, but let's take a little. Let's take a little. This will be our commercial break since we don't have sponsors or anything like
Yeah,
that.
if you
So
guys want to skip, you guys want to skip this, you can skip it. But it's gonna be really funny because my number one pet peeve. Oh my
wait, you're
God,
going with
if
one. You're
you
going starting at the top, or
oh
are these in
yeah
order? Have
no,
any order?
they're not in order, but this is my one A. I have a one A and a one B.
Okay.
My number one pet peeve. You are the biggest piece of shit on the planet if you do this. Honestly, I really hope someone runs over your foot in a car. If your dog shits on someone's lawn and you don't pick it up, fuck you. If you don't pick that up, you are an asshole. That is my number one pet peeve. You know how many times as a mail carrier I've stepped in other people's dog shit?
Oh
Too
man.
many times to count. Too many times. So pick up your goddamn dog shit.
Yeah, I didn't even think of how much that actually applies to you and your occupation.
Dude, you know how many people's hoses I'm just like gotta grab someone's hose and like spray down my fucking shoe? Because I stepped in some giant shit? It happens a lot.
Dude, I have some perpetrators of that on my street. There is definitely
Oh,
some dog shit out. So I absolutely hate that as well. And there's been times when I've walked Belle outside and I've forgotten a bag, and we're say halfway down the street, and I legit will leave something like where she pooped, go back to my house, get the bag, and then go pick it up.
well,
So
that's
like
because
I'm
you're a
not.
good person. That's because you're a good person. I wouldn't be friends with you if you weren't a great person, and that just reinforces it.
But that shit does piss me off. All right, my first one here. It's also following the poop trend.
Oh God.
And this actually happened to me today. So like, what really fucking pisses me off is when I'm like about to take a shit and I sit down and I'll add this little caveat, especially at like times when I don't think there's a chance in hell somebody's about to sit in that stall next to me, but like when I sit down and I have a feel like a public place, right? And I'm about to take a shit and then someone goes in the stall next to me. I hate that. Like I just want to be shitting by myself. And I was at work tonight and it was like 7 o'clock p.m. and I'm like, oh, who's coming in here now? I'm about to take this shit before I go home. And then like someone can, and I'm like, it triggered me so bad. I was like, wow, all I want to do was just poop in peace, and now I got to worry about this idiot next to me hearing me
Dude,
make noise over
you're
here.
you're trying to drop bombs equal to the ones we dropped on Nagasaki and Hiroshima, and you got somebody next to you just like trying to give you like a little fist bump underneath the stall. I
Yeah.
do hate that. That
Oh.
does suck. That
Yeah,
sucks.
especially if you're like somewhat constipated, right? And you're really trying to get it out there, and then it's like,
It's embarrassing, dude. It's
oh,
embarrassing.
that is brutal. But all right,
That's
what's
fucking
your
all right.
second one?
I promise my next one is not poop related, okay? But people that are rude to a waiter or waitress, I
Okay.
can't stand those people, dude. If you are not nice to like, or even just like, not specifically waiters or waitresses, but like people that are working in general, be nice to those people. They're dealing with a ton of shit from like their bosses. They don't need you. They don't need you, Karen, getting up in their face or like bitching about something. Like, leave them alone and be nice. Just be nice for once.
No, yeah, I can see that, especially retail people too, with like the shit they got
Yeah.
to deal with on a day-to-day
This
basis now.
guy's, we got fucking Tony here folding an Abercrombie shirt, and then Cindy's coming up asking him some bullshit question, being rude. Like, leave him alone, you
Plus,
know?
you honestly never get anywhere in life like doing that, and like usually, like especially going back to your like restaurant reference, like the waiter or waitress themselves is typically like if your food is bad, like or not cooked, like that's not on the waiter or the waitress. Like
No,
they
yeah,
didn't cook
exactly.
your fucking food. You know, like I can understand like somewhat if it's like really slow service or like you had your Coke's been empty for like 40 minutes and like they haven't refilled it or even been by to look like and they're out in the back fucking smoking or something. But like I don't know. I was just like a lot of times like my big thing is like you don't know what's going on in someone's life and like just like and in the grand scheme of things it's not a big deal like
Yep, yep,
let it go and just
yeah.
live to fight another day.
We preach being nice on this podcast. Actually, we've never said that in all of our episodes, but hey, be nice to the person that you're talking to. You never know what they're going through.
Oh, new slogan right there we go.
Yep, yep. A little bit of positivity in this absolutely like muddied down, sad pod. But what's your number two?
All right, my
Ah,
number two.
speaking of shitting,
Yes. Oh, I thought you were at something else. I was so excited for more shit talk.
no, 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 that joke didn't land. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right, someone out there heard it and it got it and it went over my head. But all right, so my second one here is hearing people chew and
Oh,
and
that's a good one.
specifically like at times when it's supposed to be quiet. And like I love my wife obviously, but there is just some
Uh-oh.
times where
Uh-oh.
like we'll and I do this to her, I know too, but like the peak time for this annoyance is like when we're just like it's Christmas time. It's like 8:30 p.m. I got my hot cocoa. We're snuggled on the couch. We're watching our Hallmark movie. I'm all snuggled in my blanket, and then I just hear because she's munching on something. Or I do it to her, obviously too. But like that is just the worst. I'll actually have to like I'll look at her and she'll know, and she'll do the same to me. Or I'll have to just get up and walk away, or we'll pause the movie and be like, we got to resume this later.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. But yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, you were taught manners when you were a kid. Like, chew with your mouth closed. You know, it does make my skin crawl. You know what I don't like when people are chewing gum and they're
Oh
chewing
yeah,
like a horse.
or the
Oh,
snappers,
uh, the what?
like with snapping their gum.
Oh yeah, no, just like nom nom nom, just like going at it like that. Like,
Yeah, but
oh
you know
my
what I'm
God,
talking about with the snap? Like
no,
people like snap their
just
gum when they're chewing.
like a bubble. What are you
Yeah, I
saying?
think
I
you
don't
like I
understand.
don't know how you do it, but I think you like create like a small bubble in the gum and then chew it. So you constantly like you pop in like it's
Okay,
snapping in your
yeah,
mouth.
yeah, that's disgusting. I don't want to hear your mouth noises.
Yeah, yeah. So that's kind of along the same lines, but and just to be fair, Katie does chew with her mouth closed, but
You're literally, you're
I'm doing
like, I
damage
don't know how to,
control.
you're like, I don't know how to edit, so we have to leave it in, and you're just fucking toasting your wife on
No, she
here.
does. She does. She's very polite. It's like always like nighttime's like always crunchy shit. Like you're getting chips, or you're eating a
Oh,
bowl of
dude, I hear
cereal. You know what
that.
I mean?
You're
So
just absolutely munching a fucking Doritos bag.
yeah,
Like, before you know it, you got the whole thing down, and you're just, yeah, I get it, I get it.
yeah. Nighttime is just peak time for like noisy ass food. So like,
All right, I got my third one. I got my third one. People that don't put the shopping cart in the cart corral.
oh, this speaks to me. This literally speaks
Dude,
to me. I don't even know if you
you,
know how much this speaks to me.
yes, I know that before we met, you were a cart guy at Tops.
Shout out Tops on French and Transit. I love that job.
Dude, you deserve to rot in the deepest depths of hell if you leave your fucking shopping cart in the middle of the parking lot. You put that shit back in the cart corral. People like Matt don't need to be running around collecting your cart. Like, be a good person and put that shit back.
Oh my god, I walked so many unnecessary steps in my time. at Tops just because carts were like wherever. And the worst, oh, the absolute worst person is they'll when they leave it in the spot next to the thing. It's like
Oh my
you
God.
were seconds away. You were seconds away.
Oh
It
my
is
God.
absolutely ridiculous. Like I always try and put my shit back at least in the stall or whatever because and people are so appreciative. Like when you do that, like and me as a cart guy, I was the same way. Like when someone brought me a cart, I was like, "Oh my god, sir, ma'am, thank you for bringing
You're
that to me."
like, holy shit, I'll suck your dick right now.
Well, I don't know if I go that far. Listen, I promised your buddy I'm not creepy, but all right.
Yeah,
Well, I'm
but
gonna go.
I bet that's like the nicest thing for people to like give the card to you. It's like just be a good person.
Oh
Again,
well, yeah, but
not
the other thing about that too is like if you leave them out there and it's windy, like then they're banging into people's cars and denting people's
yep.
cars up and stuff. Like it's just it's a no win situation for a lot of people.
That's too funny. That's too funny.
All right, my last one here is when simple tasks don't go smoothly. This is my biggest trigger ever. And I am not handy whatsoever. Like when I oh I got a fucking story to
You're
tell you right
speaking
now.
you're speaking to me, bud.
I don't know if I told you the story, but I got a fucking story to tell you right now. But that aligns just with this. But like so like my I think I mentioned this on the last show. Like my brain is wired where like it's checklists where like I haven't when I wake up in the day and I have two kids, so I know it's never gonna go how I want it to go, but like I have a plan for my day. I'm like I want to do this, this, and this. So like when I start a task that is so menial that I think is gonna take just like seconds, and then it takes me like 2 fucking hours, I get oh dude, I get so mad. So quick example this happened on Sunday. Well, this happened like so my toilet, the handle has been it broke, right? Like it was getting loose and then it finally just like popped off and like so I take the back of the toilet off and I'm looking and there's just a washer and a nut. And I'm
Yep.
like, "Oh, this is simple.
Okay.
I just got to hold the handle in place and screw this nut back on. Done. End of story, right?" So I'm sitting there, and Katie's behind me. She's brushing her teeth at the time, and I'm getting so mad at this thing because I'm like, no
I
matter
can just imagine you.
this is the shit I'm talking about. So no matter how hard I'm looking at this nut, I'm like, is this thing stripped or whatnot? I'm like, it looks fucking perfect. I'm like, there's no reason why it shouldn't go right into this thing. So I'm like, you know what? This has already taken me long enough. I'm like, we're just gonna leave it like this. The handle was still attached, but like for literally for like a week, it was just laying there. Like we could still use our toilet, but it was just laying there. And you had to like push it down this weird way. But you guys were coming over on Sunday, so I'm like,
Yeah.
he's like, we gotta fix
It was
this.
fixed. It was fixed.
It was pristine. But let me tell you what. So I decide I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take this fucking thing out because I need a closer look at this. So I take out the little piece and I take it all out. I was turning the wrong way.
Oh my God. Come on. Come on.
This is how stupid I am. But this is the stuff like so like why I don't understand. So like I immediately take it out and it immediately goes in and I'm like and I look at Kate and I'm like, babe, you'll never understand. I'm like, well, actually, you will believe this because you know how stupid I am with these like handyman things. But I'm like, the toilet's fixed. She's like, what was wrong? I'm like, I was turning the wrong way.
Dude, I am the same way. Like I have the fine motor skills of like a 12-year-old. Like it's really bad. Like I anything small, like if you know you build a shelf and it comes with like a million small pieces,
Oh yeah.
I am not afraid to say that like when we moved in here and we were building all of our stuff, and this was 4 years ago, I've grown as a person since 4 years ago. But when we were building, no, we moved in 7 years ago. We got married 4 years ago, dumbass. Um, so when we were building all like the furniture shelving and shit, dude, I would get so fucking mad. Like there was a time where I was building something and I walked upstairs and I'm like, Lexi, you gotta fucking build this fucking shelf because I'm not fucking doing it. And she was like, shut up. Like she was like, are you serious? You're acting like a child. Dude, my hands, I can't spin anything. Like I cannot. If I like am screw driving something and I drop it and I drop the screwdriver,
Oh, immediately
honestly,
pissed.
you see like my wires cross immediately. I'm seeing red. So I completely understand what you're saying when like a task that you think is gonna go like perfectly fine. This will be great. and it's awful.
No.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, bro. I mean, I've grown a little bit. I mean, once you hit your 30s, I feel like you kind of just calm down a little bit. But man, when you if you try to get me to build something and it's not going well in the first 5 minutes, I'm tapping out. I'm tapping out.
Oh, oh yeah.
I don't know if that makes me bitch made or what, but I can't do it.
No, I'm with you. And then you end up doing more damage than good. So here's another quick story, and then we'll move on. But like when we first got our house, I remember we bought this new mop, right? That like it had this sick handle where like you just had to turn it a little bit, and then it could
Yep.
go up or down. Like that's how you adjust it, right? And I loved it. I loved it. And like after the third time I used it, it like got stuck, right? And it wasn't working. And I was fuming. I was getting so mad because I'm looking at this thing for like 20 minutes. I'm like, how do I just. So I take it out in my yard and I'm like, and I'm holding the one side and I am just fucking going like this, like trying to whip it out. And I'm swinging it like a baseball bat. I let it go and I throw it in my neighbor's yard.
Oh my god, that's embarrassing. That's
Thankfully,
awesome.
my neighbor has open backyards, and they weren't out at the time. But I just like went and like picked it up, and I was just like, oh, all
That's
right, no one saw
fucking
that, but
hilarious.
yeah.
That's
Oh,
fine. I can relate.
yeah,
That's
I get
so
so
funny,
mad.
dude.
I get so mad. But all
Did I
right,
do three
so
or did you do three? Did we do
what's that?
three?
I
Did
did
we
three.
both
I
do
did
three?
three. I think so. Unless you got one more you want to say.
No, I got three. I do have an honorable mention though.
Okay.
Shout out all my mail carrier listeners on this one, or like delivery drivers in general. If you're like a UPS guy or a FedEx or DHL or whatever the fuck Amazon, dude, the worst thing ever is when I'm out there and it could be in the summer or it could be in the winter and someone says to me, "Is it hot enough for you?" Or
Oh,
"Is it
oh
cold
yeah.
enough for you?" And it's like 90 degrees or it's like, -2. And I'm like, I'll get back to my vehicle and I'll be like, "Yes, Cindy, is it cold enough for me? It's fucking -2 and my fucking fingers are falling off. You think it's cold?" Like, dude, that is like the biggest pet peeve. And I bet that's like a common thing of like people working outside. But
Oh yeah.
man, that like really fucking frazzles me.
Yeah, that one would definitely piss me off. But all right, Ryan. Well, so this was
What a
fun. This was fun.
segment. I
I think
love these like random segments that we do.
so. I think next week, like so, we got the Thanksgiving theme. I didn't run this by you, but I'm wondering if like next week we do maybe like shit we're thankful for, but like kind of a
Okay.
spin, like not like your typical shit, like oh my family, whatever. Uh, like like weird shit that we're thankful for. Like
Oh, well,
that'll be
this could
kind
get weird.
of
This
yeah
could get
yeah
weird.
yeah. So that'll maybe we can do that next week, and then obviously Thanksgiving week we'll do like the
Well, dude,
foods or something.
next week is Thanksgiving, dude.
Oh, okay. So next week, no.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, it is. Oh, fuck, it is. Okay. All right. So then we'll maybe next week. Next week we'll do the foods, and then after that we'll do like the thankful one. Then
We'll figure it the fuck out. I don't
yeah,
know. We'll
whatever.
figure it out.
We'll keep the listeners in suspense. But all right, Ryan, we are on an hour and 12 minutes here. So what do you want to do here? Do you want to end it here? Do you want to talk about some around the league stuff quick, or just look ahead? What do you want to do?
Um, I guess we can just like go right ahead to like what the Sabres got going on next.
All right, we can do some. We might even do maybe we can maybe plan like a little mini segment to or a mini pod somewhere in there to like talk about around the league and whatnot. But we can shorten this one up a little bit. There's not a ton going around the league anyway, but there has been a couple big stories that we'll look to get to. But all right,
Honestly,
so
the only thing that we really need to talk about on the league, and it doesn't have to be like mentioned at all, really, is that the Oilers fired their coach and hired
yeah,
McDavid's junior coach. Like McDavid runs that shit. That's like really the only thing that happened in hockey this week. So let's see how it goes for McDavid and the Oilers.
yeah. I mean, they were off to a 3-9-1 start, and like you said, they got Knobloch and Coffee in now. And you got to think the San Jose loss is what prompted that. You know what's funny about that is that like
Dude, that
that
was
was
awesome. That was an all-time night on Twitter. Like every person stayed up for that, just live tweeting it. Like I don't care who you were, random fan or like media, you were watching that game. It was such a great night to be on social media.
Oh yeah, and you know what the thing about that is like that team was the Sabres like not too long ago. Where like if you
Yep.
lost to the Sabres, like you had like you almost got fired, like because we were
Yeah.
that bad team. Like it's just again we've talked about some of the inconsistencies and the bad play here today, but like we're not fools. We know we're way better now than we were, back then. But it's just
Yeah,
funny how I was thinking about that when I'm like, wow, I'm like, this was that team where like coaches would lose to us and be like, shit, am I done now? Like,
yeah.
but all right, so looking ahead then for the Sabres, they got a little away trip or road trip here coming up, which is hopefully a good thing for them to get things back on track. So Thursday they're going to be in Winnipeg. That's an 8 o'clock puck drop. Playing Bedard at Chicago on Sunday at 7. So I'll be pumped for that one, and then Washington on Wednesday at 7. So a few away games here before we meet next. Ryan, what are you hoping for out of these next few games?
The game against Winnipeg is on Friday. You just got me excited. I thought we had a game tomorrow.
Oh, it's Friday. Okay.
Yeah, I was all excited. I'm like, oh man, we have a game tomorrow. Let's go. But I'm hoping for the Winnipeg game that Comrie and Tuck make their return. We're gonna need all the help we can get, and that would be a revenge game for Eric Comrie.
Yeah. So I think that's a team right now that is I think they're kind of in the middle of things. They're certainly not a walkover game. So we'll see what happens there. Chicago is a game you would like to win, and then Washington's playing some
They're,
damn good hockey now. They just beat the Vegas
yeah,
Knights last
man.
night. So
We wrote them off. I think everyone wrote them off about, they're old, they're slow, like Backstrom's out now, and Ovechkin wasn't scoring, and they're an old team, old wily veteran team. Like they're a tough out, so they're playing pretty well.
Wiley, what a word, a
Yeah, dude,
Wiley veteran team.
I'm very excited to see what Connor Bedard does against us. Like he's gonna do some sicko shit against us, and it's gonna be on all the highlight tapes because
Oh
he's
yeah,
nasty.
he's a point per game player right now. I know it's only
As an
13 games.
18 year old, bro, as an 18-year-old man, it's so cool. I think that's so awesome.
He just looks like he looks the part too. Like it's not like the points he's getting aren't like fluke points. Like he's making
Did
great
you
plays.
see? Do you see his game the other day and like
Oh,
any of the highlights from
I
the
saw
game?
him roof the guy from like the blue line, but he did that shit in like the juniors too, or like the whatever it was. He roofed that
Yeah,
one guy from like the.
dude, he stripped the defenseman and then just roofed the puck like at the goal line. Like that was
Oh yeah,
disgusting.
it was
And
it
then
was
the one
crazy. It was
the one
Bobrovsky, I think, wasn't it against Florida?
I don't yeah, I think so. That
Yeah.
same game, dude, he had the one goal he scored, he strips a guy at the opposing blue line, makes like a kind of between his own legs pass to fuck Foligno it might have been, and then just cuts to the net and just catches the pass and scores. Dude, his hockey sense is out of this world, man. It's so much fun. I can't wait to see him against us.
Yeah, he's everything as advertised. So yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be fun to see him play on Wednesday, and hopefully we can get the win. I am gonna predict out of these 6 points. I don't know,
You
man.
need
I'd like
four. You
I'd
need
like to
four.
be greedy here. I'm gonna predict 6. I think we
You
gotta.
think we're gonna get on a little run minus Tage? You think
They
the
need
team's gonna
to.
step up in his advance? Dude, I agree. I agree. And they gotta do something. They gotta do something here.
Yeah, I hope next week we're on here really excited about what they're doing, and they got some stuff to address, and we'll see if they do
And
it. I
like
think
you said,
we
by American Thanksgiving, dude, that's usually when teams kind of you're in or you're out. And I get it's super early in the season, but statistically, I think it's like what 78% of teams that are in the playoffs
yeah,
by Thanksgiving are in the playoffs at the end.
you got to make a
So
run eventually, and now is a better time than ever. You play better on the road than at home. These are 3 very winnable games, and put your best foot forward. And if you go out and play 60 minutes, I think they can do it. So let's hope for that. I mean, again, between 4 and 6, I'm going to say 6. But should we save Bills talk for next time? I think we can probably because that'll be a whole can of worms if we open that right
we
now.
should address it a little bit. I think. I think we should.
All
We're an
right.
hour and 20 in. Let's give it like 5 minutes. Let's give it like
All right,
five
all
minutes.
right. We'll close it out. We'll close it out with
So
some Bills.
I'll lead this one a little bit, and then I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts. So the Bills lost on Monday night to the Denver Broncos, 24-22 in just spectacular fashion. I mean, everyone saw the game that is
Oh
a
my
Bills fan
God.
and understands what we're going through. But they fired Ken Dorsey, and I'm seeing so much dumb stuff from like national media that like, oh, they fired Dorsey because of this Denver game, and like it's undeserved, and this is Sean McDermott's scapegoat. And I've said I'm no fan of like Sean McDermott, but like that's so unfair in my opinion. Like the offense, like you said, and I was the Dorsey defender. 6 weeks ago where like, dude, it just wasn't working. And the advanced analytics are there because we're kind of feasting, like at times when it doesn't matter, and we're not putting up points. And it's like he deserved to go. I mean, Josh Allen's playing the worst football of his career. He has an interception in like every fucking game this year. Like he's been
Mhm.
awful. He has
Yep.
not been good. Multiple things can be true. Dorsey can
Yeah.
go,
Yeah, and they are.
and he's not helping Allen, and Allen can also be playing horribly. Like
Yeah.
multiple things can be true, and I we can still turn it around. I mean, 5-5, it's an uphill battle for playoffs, but just show me something. Show me something that you have heart and fight, and we'll see what happens. But Ken Dorsey needed to go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even need to tell you how excited I am that Ken Dorsey
Oh, I know
is gone.
you were just walking around with like the biggest balls that day, just
Oh,
so happy.
I
You
was,
know,
dude.
it,
When I got that news, I was working and I was high five. I was on lunch. I remember, and I get back out on the floor and I'm high fiving everybody. I'm like, the Bills are back, baby. The Bills are back. We're going to the Super Bowl. But it's true because like we have five losses, and arguably all five of those losses are because of poor offensive performances. Not to mention the regression that we've seen in Josh, which is not all just because of Dorsey, but again, like when you have all these inconsistencies on offense, like Joe Marino said, it comes back to the coordinator who's running the ship. And I have not been a fan of Dorsey forever, really. Like even last year, like the advanced stats are what they are because at the end of the day, as bad as Josh Allen is executing, like he's still Josh Allen, and like he's still gonna put up yards, he's still gonna put up points. Like we do still have good offensive weapons to put up points, but it's not exceeding expectations. If anything, it looks way worse than that. And you have last game is a perfect example. You James Cook is literally dummying, absolutely dummying the Denver
gotta
Broncos.
get it in, gotta get it in one time,
I know he fumbled. I know he fumbled, and then we sat him like
which
a
was
barbarian.
insane, dude. It was insane. Like, what was that all about?
But those are some
That,
of
that's the part of that. That's the part of McDermott where I'm just like, all right, dude. Like,
yeah,
I
those
think
are
it's
his
time.
Neanderthal philosophies. But it's just like it's just so frustrating when he's dummying guys on the ground and then they stop going to him, and it's like in that the last drive of the game when we tied that game or took wait, do we? I can't remember if we tied it or took the lead.
We went ahead. We went ahead.
Okay, so we go ahead, yeah, by like 1 point or whatever, and
Yeah.
it was 70 grounds on the yard by James Cook. Like it
We didn't
wasn't
even
Allen
throw. We
throwing.
did not. We didn't call a single pass. We
No,
called
and
one pass at the end, and Allen ran it in.
yeah, not to mention the lack of just like offensive creativity. Josh wasn't running, and I think maybe that's on McDermott. Like again, McDermott's not getting off scotch free in this, but like it's very much like the Edmonton Oilers situation where like you have to send a message to the guys where like, listen, like we're not accepting this mediocrity, and like if there's not going to be accountability, like we're going to make changes. And you're if anything, it's just sending a message to the team where like, hey, we got to get our heads out of our asses and we got to rally around because we're not throwing in the towel on this season, and let's bring it back and let's make a run here. And it's going to be tough with the schedule they have left, but we'll see.
The schedule, the injury. I mean, commend. I got to commend the defense. I mean, yes, they once again allowed a team to go down the field at the end, but for most of that game, they were awesome. Like,
Yeah.
but despite the injuries, so it's a complicated thing. I'm just feeling I'm so back and forth on the Bills. I'm just very this episode. I hope it was reflected well in my voice and the way I was talking, but I'm so conflicted on my teams right now. Just especially the Sabres, honestly, because there was so much hope, and I get the Bills were expected to be good, but hope is more fun than like expectation, and when like your hopes are dashed, it just kind of sucks. So let's get both these teams to turn it around. Like I'm feeling a little optimistic, and maybe next week we'll feel a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, certainly things are looking bleak for the Bills, but I mean, the Bills have proven time and time again and under Sean McDermott too, when their backs are against the wall, they have responded historically. So let's see if they can do it again and overcome some of the injuries and adversity that they're dealing with. And I mean, we'll see. It's the first test for Kevin Adams and Don Granado to start riding the ship with the Sabres and see what they can do on the ice, and hopefully they can get obviously the goals playoffs, and that's still, I mean, there's still so many games left, but like we were saying, you gotta turn around sooner than later before it is too late, and we'll see. We're definitely staying optimistic and positive, but I'm not going to be like the Bills media and not ask the hard questions. Like, these are things that need to be talked about, and if no one else is
Yeah,
going to do
we're
it,
not fans.
if
We
no one
don't know.
else is
We
going to
don't
do
really
it, we're
know.
going to do it on Saber Spotlight. So let's go.
Yeah, we don't really know shit. I think we kind of like we love our teams. We know ball. We know ball. We know puck. But
But we're the average fan. Like the average fan is,
no, the average fan is a fucking idiot. I'm sorry.
but
No,
but the,
we are
but
above average.
but where I was going with that is like we're emotional. Like we're emotionally invested in these teams, and
Oh
it's
hell yeah,
you.
I'm emotional. I'm as emotional. I'm like, let's put this equivalency out there. I'm as emotional. I mean, and I'm the biggest Taylor Swift fan like around, like as a male, but I'm like a 22-year-old like girl when Taylor Swift does post something on social media, just yelling around, screaming. That's me with the Bills and Sabres. I'm just a fucking psycho and just so emotional. So like, I understand what you're saying. Like we are emotional.
Yeah, you ride the highs, you ride the lows,
Oh
and
yeah, fuck
and,
yeah.
and that's what it is to be a fan. And at the end of the day, like, you can sit back and take a rational look at things, and everybody does, but you also react emotionally, and you allow yourself to do that. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But
Oh, I feel good about this episode. I think we can wrap it up though. I feel like we let it all out there today. We let it all out there on the field. Like not like the Sabres really didn't let it all out on the ice. They kind of just packed away and we performed better than they did in their
yeah,
matches.
absolutely. And something just popped in my head. I'm not gonna say it because it's gonna be for next show. But there is
No, no,
something
say it, say it, say
I
it. I can't wait. It's not. It's well. We can say it. We can do a little tease. You know what? Do a little tease for the people. Do a little
all right, yeah,
tease.
we'll put up a poll on Twitter because I'll be interested to see what people say because we put
You
up a
love your
poll
Twitter
before.
polls.
So, okay, so and yeah, okay, so check out the Twitter page, obviously, but and it's right there if you guys are watching on Spotify at Saber Spotlight. But this came up in my work, and I'll be interested to hear what you say, Ryan. Again, we'll talk more about this next week. But I was eating a salad at work. I've been trying to eat more salads lately, and I'm very plain when it comes to my salads. So my salad includes lettuce, cheese, bacon bits, and croutons. Okay, the first three things I said there, consider them irrelevant. This conversation revolves around the croutons. Okay, this is all about croutons. So we got to talking with some of my colleagues. When you eat a salad and croutons are involved, how do you eat them? Like, is it there's probably there's the
What is
debate
this
was
question?
the debate was two options. So do you feasibly, in my head, I can only think of two ways. You stab the crouton independent of other food, other lettuce,
Okay.
like it's a solo stab. You eat the crouton and then you proceed with your lettuce or whatever as normal, right? Or what was brought to my attention, which I think this is totally barbaric, is apparently some people fucking balance the crouton on the spoon and try and pick up lettuce while they're
Who
balancing.
does it? I do that.
Oh my god! Oh my god! I cannot believe you did that. Okay, so that to me is just,
How did we get here? How did we get here?
but that to me is
What do you
so.
mean you stab the crouton?
I am not gonna fuck. I'm not gonna like do a balancing act with my crouton while I'm trying to simultaneously pick up lettuce and then eat. Like, I'm gonna stab the crouton because I mean, once you stab the crouton, there's no other room on the fork for any other lettuce. Like, you have to eat it before you eat more of your salad. So I am under the impression, or what I do is I will nibble on my salad a little bit, my bacon bits, and then when I'm ready for a crouton, I eat the crouton independently. There's no way I'm balancing a crouton and trying to eat lettuce in the same bite. That's way too difficult.
Dude, you're like Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker killer, just fucking stabbing your croutons. I can't believe it. No. I'm a leafy guy on the spoon. You get a little couple of leaves and then you balance the crouton. Like that's an
All
unreal way
right.
to end the
Well,
podcast. That's
well,
unreal. That's
we'll
amazing.
agree to disagree on this.
I don't even know how we got to salad, bro. That's so
We're
funny.
gonna we'll put a poll up. We'll put a poll up. And speaking of Leafs, fuck the Leafs. We'll end this
Yep.
podcast on that. But
Fuck the
all right,
Leafs.
so
Love it.
that's gonna do it for tonight. This was a fun episode. If you guys made it to the end, I applaud you. But if you are here listening, you know the spiel. Go ahead and follow us over on Twitter. Again, if you're watching on Spotify at Sabres Spotlight, check it out in the show notes below. And follow both of us on Twitter. I'm at Matt Walsh PT. Ryan, go ahead.
And at RMC1924.
So if you are listening still, follow, rate, review, and subscribe to the show so you
Wait,
know
hold
when
on.
we're released.
What the
What?
fuck did I just say? What did I just say? Dude, that is not my handle.
What did you say? I don't even
What
know.
did I just say? I'm no, it's at RMC underscore 1492. What was that? We gotta end the pod. We gotta end it. End
Oh
it.
God, it's really going off the rails now. It's really going off the rails.
End this shit. Please
All
end it.
right. So listen, rate, review, subscribe, share with your family, share with your friends. Check out the email in the link or in the show notes if you want to send us any feedback or if you have any lettuce feedback for us. But this has been a fun one. And Sabres fans, we will see you in the episode next week, hopefully after a few wins. And that's it. We'll say goodbye to the peeps.
See ya.
Later.